Yo, I'm a challenger coach and I want to rate Mobalytics. Is this a useful app? Should you download it? Is it worth your time? Now, here's the thing, it's a free app, but it also has a premium version, right? So you won't regret it because it's free. Now, one thing to point out, there is a really interesting system it actually does have, right? So we can see it with our eyes that there is a CS counter, which means that it helps us to track our CS, so how much CS should we ideally have per minute, right? KDA, KP, right? So it does actually track of how many like resources could we averagely gather as a diamond player. So this was a diamond account I played on, right? Now compared to them. Now I'm gonna start this video and we can see that if you press of course your tab E, it reveals details about your champions. Now there isn't anything new about this because you could just hover your mouse on your abilities, so how is this even useful, right? It's a bit easier to read and it's less so complicated, right? It shows the cooldowns, the mana cost and the range. Now if you hover your mouse on the ability itself, it will show more detailed version of it, right? Now from the other hand, it also reveals enemy champions, right? Their abilities, the damage they deal, the cooldown, if they provide some form of CC or what do they actually do, right? The other interesting thing is that it shows you some actual combos, right? But some of them aren't quite correct. So for example, you can press Q flash on Victor, auto attack E. Now what's the issue with that? You could also just press Q E basic attack, right? You don't necessarily need to flash, right? So the animation cancel isn't quite corrected here. Now in some case scenarios you can also Q flash, but you can also press E and then flash. It depends on the scenario, of course. So this is not completely incorrect. If you have to flash upfront something when you press your Q, then it can be fine, right? This is also a W animation cancel with your flash. Then you're supposed to ult QE. Now the issue with this combo is that you initiate with your W and often you don't want to initiate with your W unless the enemy champion does not have his gap closer anymore. Again, it depends on the situation. And you flash. Now flash can be highly situational as well if you want to press your flash, right? And again, usually you don't initiate with your ultimate, usually you initiate with your QE and then you gonna ult. And so some of the orders actually ban like mixed, right? Now from the other hand, Galio's ultimate, so it shows its cooldown, right? Its mana cost, the damage is not really shown, only the range, right? Which is a bit less detailed than it should be, right? It also shows the cooldowns, so really important to watch out for, right? So it's really good that it shows you the cooldowns. The only issue is that you can do the same thing. You can click on Google, you type Galio fandom. Now, if you have a lower end PC, let's say like I had back in the past, that if I have a Google tab open and I have my league open and my league freezes, of course this application can be helpful because it consumes less resources than a Google tab. But this is way, way more detailed, right? Mobalytics lacks the details, right? It does actually lack lots of details, right? So look how detailed this thing is, right? It's really, really detailed compared to Mobalytics. So it does provide something, and it's especially good for people that don't like to read a lot, but you're gonna miss out on some details if you don't read everything. That's my own opinion. Now let's get back to Mobalytics. So it lacks details, which is good for some people because some people don't want to read paragraphs. So it really has ups and downs, right? General tips again, guess Galio, it's really great that they have some general tips as well. The cooldowns are important to know, as I said before. So if you hover your mouse on Galio Z, right, if Galio can EU, that often can suck because he can go for a heavy trade, or that can also allow the enemy jungler really easily to gank, because if he hits his E, then he also hits his W, right? So if you want to play around Galio Z, let's say Galio misses per moment his E, right? You played around it, which means that you are allowed to poke him as much as you want to for the next 11 seconds. Now after 11 seconds his E will come up, which means he will have threat in lane. So as soon as he has his E, he will have threat in lane, right? So one important thing that you can also look at, that your Q has 600 range and his E has 650, but he also charges back with his E, which means that you will have space to throw a Q in, right? And maybe just space back a little bit and throw an E in, right? Your E has 525 range on Victor, right? But it has also two sides, right? So it's actually longer than 525. It's not completely accurate to say that it has only 525 range, right? So some of the informations may be inaccurate, right? From the other hand, there are some things that you can do, like for example, it shows some details about the enemy champions. If you're not playing in a custom game against a bot, of course it's gonna show some details about them, if they like invading, if they're good duelists. But if you're respecting your opponent enough, you're gonna play around all of those things that the application reveals you, right? Perhaps you can see that they have a high win rate, so you can of course like respect them more. And maybe if you're, let's say, like a silver player and they have like an 80% win rate, enemy top laner, right, then maybe you should not just fight him, right? So it can tell you some details, but if you just like play around them, like you can see it with your eyes that they are just better than you, then you won't int it, right? I suppose it helps some people, but not like too helpful from my opinion. It's just really something that you can progress track with, I suppose, which can help. Now, from the other hand, the application itself. There are many sites that are similar to Mobalytics, right? So in terms of what is there something new that you can provide? Not too much. So you get some rewards daily, right? You get some coupons, of course. You get live companion unlocked. In here, we also get the plus version for free, I suppose. Try it for free, but they may be gonna ask for my credit card. I'm not sure. Well, I'm happy they don't. So in here you can see your own profile, right? This is a Diamond 1 account I played on. Basically, you can see your win rates, of course, LP gains, how much LP you gained with that X champion. You can see that which champions do you suck at and which champions are you good at. So it helps you to focus on the champions you're good at. Although this is not really accurate that I have a negative win rate and I'm bad at all. It's just I managed to have a negative win rate, right? Let's press next. So the champion pool, right? The champion pool is the important thing that you should look at. So once you established what you are good at and what do you suck at, right? It will tell you that you're supposed to more likely play these champions on the top because you're performing better at them, right? So for example, if you play multiple champions, right? You will see that some of them you will be worse. So it either means that you should practice them more, or perhaps just drop them and play whatever you're good at, up to you. In here it also like gives you some opinions about you, such as you're a Herald Hijacker, Deadly Duelists, Carry, right? So it will give you some details, but often all of them are just like simple compliments to feed your ego. Matchup pool. So it shows what do you suck at. And it's really true. I lose so often against Aurelion Sword players, even if I'm not playing mid lane. Because it's just a champion, I don't know, it's still strong. It's still quite strong if he is fed, right? So it's something that I was even thinking of to ban, because it just feels to be a strong champion, honestly, even now. Now in here you can see your own highlights, right? If you have some form of highlights. This is not my own highlights, of course, it's a video from Mobalytics. You can also record your own highlights with the help of a hotkey from Mobalytics, right? Which can again definitely help you. GPI, what does GPI do? So in here it shows you your playstyle, if you like fighting a lot, if you like farming, survivability, consistency, right? And the details, right? Like my progress, like progress tracking is really important, right? So it definitely shows you your progress. Improve your skills with Mobalytics challenges. So challenges are good things to like
challenges are in-game goals designed.
Thanks, sounds good. So it gives you some form of challenges, right? Have 180 CS at 30 minutes, right? Which I don't know if they give you anything, but they at least give you a challenge to sort of, you know, it's a form of progress tracking, and it just allows you to just get better at the game, right? It challenges you. Get a small achievement, right? Now, what are here as well? Challenges. Champions. Master every champion. So, it shows you the difficulty of the champions, right? So, if you want to pick up a champion and you want to play, say, an easy champion because you're a beginner, then you can look through the easier champions, right? Easier tank, easier bruiser, easier carry. If you are a more experienced player and you want to pick up a harder champion, then you can click on hard or average. But ideally, as a beginner, you should play average or easy champions. You should not really bother with hard champions. So it helps you to like just know like which is a hard, which is an easy champion. The same thing you can do in the League client as well, because the League client shows which champion takes more skill and less skill. The good thing about the application that it's sorted in one place, which means you don't have to click on every single champion and to see this champion takes more or less skill. So in one bracket you can see all of these champions that are easy, so it's helpful. But say we already have it in the... it spares you time, right? So clicking on everything spares you time. Now this is a tier list, right? This is a tier list for low elo players. So as a top tier champion, Ornn is on the top, which I like because Ornn is a really good champion, right? From the other hand, Mordekaiser, really valid. It's a really good low elo champion, right? It's definitely valid. Now, from the other hand, Singed, I think he's really bad, even in lower ranks, because there are so many counter matchups to Singed, and you kind of have to know some proxy threats to make it work. I don't feel like he belongs in the S in lower ranks just because people won't know how to play it, and they're gonna get shit on by so many things. From the other hand, I would add Timo to the S, Warwick to the S, Nasus S, Akshan if you're skilled, but otherwise not really. Vayne again, if you're not skilled, you can get shit on really easily. I would add definitely Urgot on the S, Shan can be S, Poppy. Don't know how to feel about it. Maokai never S, even in low elo. Malphite S in AD matchups, Garen S in low elo, Glad S. Tryndamere can be S really easily in lower ranks, Seth can be S really easily in lower ranks, Darius is S in lower ranks. So these tier lists are not necessarily accurate, from my own opinion. Even scaling champions like Kayle are pretty much like S champions on top lane, just because people are perma shoving, they are not diving you, of course. Neither the enemy jungler just steps up to dive you. So if you can just like scale and just like be better in the late game, that's totally fine, because low elo games are long as hell and they are not punishing your early game, so Kayle could be S really easily. That's my opinion. Gwen could be S really easily, but you kind of have to be skilled as well. I prefer to not add skilled champions in the S tier list, that's the thing. Like even some of them could be S, like Jax could be S as well, but I can stay at A just because it takes skill, right? Mundo, I don't feel like even in lower ranks is never S. So it's not the most accurate, like let's say like top lane tier list from my opinion. Now, is the jungle tier list valid? So Nocturne, S definitely. Mordekaiser, S, 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 S. Fiddle, I would give him A, honestly. Jarvan, he's a carry champion, he's a consistent champion, but I don't know if he really belongs in the S. S, S. Even Zac can be S, Nunu should be S as well, Evelynn is S, because neither Nunu, Zac and Evelynn ganks are getting respected, same as Kayn ganks are not getting respected, right? So I would add all of them in the S, honestly. Belvet can be S if you're skilled at. Hecarim, again, if you just somewhat know how to play the champion, you know his builds, it really easily can be an S. It's such a hyper carry champion in lower ranks. Sylas, bad. Rengar can be really carry if you're good at, but if you're not good at, then I wouldn't say it's S, right? Some of them can be really easily S. It's just like dependent on how well does the individual play the champion. Like even Maokai could be S, right? It just really depends how well can you play the champion, to be honest. Mid-tier list, trash, good, trash, good. If you are skilled at, you need some skill. You need skill, S if you are skilled, S. S if you're skilled, S can be really easily, honestly. S if you're skilled, S if you're skilled. S if you're skilled, S if you're skilled, S if you're skilled, S if you're skilled, S if you're skilled. Even rarely it could be S if you're really skilled, but it's like really like these tier lists are not the best, you know. I don't know who made them. Who made these? Okay, not gonna judge anything. So at most I looked through this Mobalytics application, right? And like for beginners, it has some nice things, but many other applications or websites provide the same thing, right? So I think it's fluent, like things are easily readable. That's what I like in the Mobalytics, right? There are details that you can find pretty much on other sites or maybe even the Leak client. And I think it lacks details, as I said, like it lacks hidden details, right? What do I mean by that? For example, some details can be really important that you cannot find in here when it comes to like you get in game, you're facing a champion and it's gonna give you some details. You won't find all of them, but it's good because it gives you like a really short and quick amount of information. So ups and downs, it lacks like more proper detail, right? And most of these like champion tier lists, win rates, so on, how good the champion is solely based on statistics. It's now one thing is good that you can go sort of to some degree after statistics. Like let's say like it gives you like the rank 3, rank 2, rank 1 builds for a specific champion in a lane, which can be really good because as a clueless beginner I don't even know what to build. But it's always dependent on the matchup, same as your runes and summoner spells are always dependent on the matchup. Now you're gonna get like some generic builds, but they won't be adaptive to every matchup. But it's good that you can go after something, you know. Like at least I'm not building a Rebed on a Nilla, right? So at least you can go after something. Like even if it's not the most accurate build, to perhaps go for Kraken on an AD carry like every game, right? It's something that will provide you, right? It will give you something even if it's not the best, right, choice. So at least you can go after something, right? So it's useful to some extent. Mobalytics Plus. Do we know what does the Mobalytics Plus provide? Because the subscription might be worth, but I don't actually exactly know what the subscription about. Maybe with the subscriptions it makes more sense, but if you have other applications that consume less resources, then that application might be more worth because it's really similar to other apps, honestly. So it really depends on how much usage, right? How much resources does it suck? Otherwise, I don't know. Like how does the premium version work? If I may ever get to know how does the premium version work, then I could leave an opinion about that. But I think it's kind of hidden behind the paid wall. So I won't really aim to buy it, honestly. So it says that the Plus contains additional post-game highlights, matchup-specific advices, champion combo videos, GPI skill progress, plus features for TLT, destroy all ads. It provides something then, That's it for now. Have a nice day.